Good morning, students. Welcome to the course on Verilog Hardware Description Language. I am Shivanand Kulkarni. In the last class, we have given a complete course overview of the course Verilog HDL, the complete structure of the Verilog HDL. So, what we are going to discuss in this course, right? So, today we will begin with Module 1 concepts. Okay. So, in Module 1, you are going to study 2 units. Okay. So, first unit you are going to study overview of digital design with Verilog HDL, and in the second unit you are going to discuss regarding hierarchical modeling concepts. Okay, so let us begin with unit 1 concepts. So these are the contents you are going through. First unit, evolution of CAD, emergence of HDLs, typical HDL flow, why Verilog HDL, and trends in HDLs. Okay, so today we will just focus on the first topic, evolution of CAD. Okay, so this is the first class. We are discussing the Verilog HDL. Okay, so as I told you, it is not a programming language. It is one of the hardware description language. Okay, there are two competing hardware description languages are there. Out of that, this is one of the hardware description language. Okay, so describing the hardware, that means this is used in digital design. Okay, so digital system design subject you have gone through. Okay, so in that field this was used. Okay, so just we'll go back through some history. Okay, so 1970, so when the first integrated circuit came, from there we'll take up. Okay, so another few slides we will be discussing. Okay, and finally we will come to the conclusion, so why computer aided design was came into picture. Okay, so earliest digital circuits were designed with vacuum tubes and transistors. Okay, before digital, there is an analog. Still today analog is there. Okay, but majority of the processing parts will be done by digital circuits, and these digital circuits were earlier designed with vacuum tubes. Okay, so previous PCs, computers, okay, TVs, and if you have seen, so they will be using vacuum tubes. And in the 1948, transistors came into picture, so it revolutionized the semiconductor industry. Okay, so first integrated circuits were then invented, where logic gates were placed on a single chip. Okay, so you know the logic gates, right? So it is having multiple inputs and a single output, right? So they are called as logic gates. You have studied AND gate, OR gate, XOR gate. Okay, these are the basic gates, and also universal gates you have studied. So these many gates they have put into a fabricated into a single chip. Okay, a single silicon chip, and called as ICs. So ICs came into picture. So first IC chips were small scale integration. Okay, so they were having the gate count was very small, or less than 10 maybe. Okay, as technologies become sophisticated, designers were able to place the circuits with hundreds of gates on a chip. Okay, and that we call it as MSI, medium scale integration. So during this SSI or MSI, so what is used to happen is, so you used to have a, how you are doing a normal conventional one, you have a breadboard. Okay, in ED lab you have seen breadboard, right? So you had a small circuits like rectifier, and you have done similar way some complex circuits will be designed. Okay, so that time there is no technology that much. Okay, so SSI it used to have less than 10 gate count. Okay, and they used to spread on a paper design, and accordingly they used to rig up with breadboards, and they used to test it. Okay, now imagine, so now this gate count was increased 10 times. Okay, less than 10 gate count to now hundreds of gates on a chip. Okay, and that we call it as the medium scale integration. Okay, so that is the technology. So now hundreds of gates when came, so your design become, okay, very complex, right? Compared to previous one, it is 10 times bigger now. Okay, and they still used to do with the breadboard. Okay, so see the picture. Okay, so how difficult it is to verify the output. Okay, so now this slowly increase. Okay, so this 10 increase now again 10 times, 100 gate counts to now it is increased to thousands of gates on a single chip, and this technology we call it as LSI, large scale integration. Okay, so when 10 was there, it is difficult, so 100 it came. Okay, now it is 1000. Okay, thousands of gates on a chip, so it required a larger space now to rig up the circuit, and many breadboards are required, or big breadboard you require. Okay, so at this point, what happened, design processes started getting very complicated, and designers felt the need to automate these processes. Parallelly, what is happening, there is a Intel's microprocessors were building up. Okay, 4-bit 8-bit microprocessors, and because of that PCs were getting updated, right? So from vacuum tubes to transistors are using. So they felt that, so when computers are coming, so we need to, our process digital design, we need to automate this. Otherwise this is going to increase day by day. The number of gate count is definitely going to increase, and we will be in a very difficult situation, not able to do the proper verification. Okay, so that is the beginning step. Okay, because of that EDA tools began to evolve. Okay, that is the starting step. EDA tools means electronic design automation tools. So before we continue the story, so just I will tell you what is meant by EDA tools. So there are two set of tools are there in this EDA tools. One is CAD and another is CAE. Okay, CAD and CAE. CAD stands for computer aided design tools. Referred to, they are backend tools. Okay, so backside performing operations that perform functions related to place and route and layout of the chip. Okay, and similarly CAE stands for computer aided engineering tools. Refer to the tools that are used for front end processes such as HDL simulation. Okay, so whatever programming you are writing in hardware description language Verilog, that will be simulated using some input test cases we will be giving, and logic synthesis it will be performing, and then timing analysis. Okay, so how much time it took to perform that operation. So all these are front end operations, and that tools we call it as CAE, and back end we call it as CAD, and together we call it as a EDA tools. Okay, to just give an analogy, if you see a ATM machine now. Okay, so in the front end what you will see, so just the graphical user interface, so you can withdraw money, balance inquiry, okay, fund transfer. Okay, so like that you will have many options when you go there. Okay, so when you click on withdrawal or something, in the back end some processes will happen there, right? So like that, so the both tools will work together here to give the output. So such tools in digital design field we call it as EDA tools. Okay, so there is just to give an idea what is EDA tools. So now we'll continue the story of the gate count. We seen SSI, okay, small scale integration, large scale integration, okay, in between mid scale integration, 100,000 gates. Okay, so chip designers or digital designers began to use circuit and logic simulation techniques to verify the functionality of building blocks of the order of about 100 transistors. So with a gate count of 100 transistors, chip designers so slowly started building their own circuit and logic simulation techniques. Okay, so instead of going through that, okay, the circuits were still tested on the breadboard, and the layout was done on a paper or by hand on a graphic computer terminal. Okay, so complete, it was not automated. Some small part of the operation, okay, like circuit and logic simulation technique were done by the chip designers only for 100 transistor, but still the testing will be done on breadboard. Okay, in the meantime what happened, so the technology is still 10 times increased. Okay, so there is a new technology came where the single chips with more than millions of transistors. Okay, millions of transistors able to come, so such a chip has come, and that technology we call it as VLSI. Okay, very large scale integration. So this is the buzzword you are hearing from many years now. Okay, or somewhere a general people will be using this term VLSI industry, VLSI course. Okay, like that. Okay, so that is the technology. So this is few years back. At present you will be hearing about now more than that transistors, we calling it as ULSI now, ultra large scale integration, that is going to come. Okay, that is the present scenario. Okay, so imagine the situation now, so using a breadboard and a simulation, okay, with a millions of transistors or millions of gate count on a chip, so how difficult it is. Okay, so complexity, not possible to verify circuits on a breadboard. We are in a situation now, breadboards are not at all helpful. Okay, so that's why they have to look for now the CAD tools. Okay, that is how the situation come. So before that, so just VLSI design process, the complexity. So in the VLSI design process, we are at the VLSI now. So design complexity increasing rapidly. Okay, increased size and complexity. What happened? Size is increase of the circuit, and complexity is also involved. fabrication technology is improving. Okay, so that's why CAD tools become essential. Okay, so when fabrication technology is improving and there is no breadboard method to verify now, there is an essential for CAD tools. Okay, this is how the evolution happened. And there is one more thing, conflicting requirements like area, speed and energy consumption. If you take a mobile phone now, so in the mobile phone, what is the basic necessity? You will see the area, it should be very thin, right? So stylish, right? Then speed, when you click on some app, it should quickly respond, right? If you take a RAM of less GB, see the speed, and if you take a RAM of high GB, right, you'll see the difference, right, in the speed, right? Same way energy consumption, battery life also you will see 4000 milliamp, and right, when you are taking this, these are the basic things you will be definitely looking at. Even the digital designers, they should keep in mind these conflicting requirements. Why this is called as conflicting? Because if you try to reduce the area, speed may be something happen, okay, or energy consumption may be more. Or if you try to improve energy consumption, speed may be less, like that. So it should be balanced, right? That's why it is conflicting requirements in a digital design field even today. So this is the three things, the very basic. Okay, you will be seeing camera, pixel and all, okay, but very important, the area. So how many gate count they are going to put on that same size mobile, and the speed and the battery life. Okay, so that is the always challenging to the digital designers. That is the thing happening. Okay, the present trend is the standardize the design flow. Whatever we are doing now, so we are doing it manually, right? So after this we have to do this, and in between some of the process may be done using some techniques. Okay, they have come up with some techniques for 100 transistors. Now millions of transistors is that we have to completely standardize the design flow. Okay, emphasis on low power design and increased performance even in the VLSI field. So there are lots of research is happening on low power design, so how to reduce the power consumption, right? So if you compare with the 2 years back mobile phone and today's mobile phone, you will definitely see some changes in the battery life, right? That is because of the researchers and the new technology incorporated in that device. Okay, and also increased performance. Okay, so this is regarding the VLSI design process, and all these complexity issues were predicted long back by a person called as Moore. Okay, so just I will highlight his what he has told. Okay, that is called as Moore's law. It will be referred in VLSI design process or in the VHDL. Okay, so just a graph is there. You can see exponential growth we see. So in the x-axis we have shown the years 1970 to 2015, and in the y-axis we have shown the number of transistors on a chip. Okay, 10,000, 1 lakh, okay, then 10 lakh, 100, okay, so million, billions. Okay, so that is the thing, and you will see some names there. So these are the familiar names you may be gone through. So beginning, so all these manufacturing by Intel only. So Intel 4004 4-bit microprocessor came very first. It was used in your video games. Okay, small calculators and all, it will be used. So slowly 8-bit microprocessor came, so that is 8008. Okay, so 8-bit microprocessor, so they came into picture. Slowly computation become easier. 8085 microprocessor came. This is the robust 8-bit microprocessor. Okay, used for long time. Okay, so then 8086 came. Okay, advanced 16-bit microprocessors came. Okay, like that revolution happened. Okay, year wise year, 286, 386, 486 came. Then Pentium series came. Okay, and today we are using Itanium, right? Itanium processor. It is now 2015. So the graph is older. You can put the graph now. Okay, if you see this graph trend, it is showing exponential growth. Okay, and the design complexity is also increases rapidly as the number of transistor here. See, if the number of transistors is increasing, so design complexity is also increased. So automated tools are essential. That is again the prediction he has given long back, and now it is proved when VLSI technology came. So it is almost now proved. So automated tools become essential. Okay, so must follow well-defined design flow, and also you need to standardize the design flow. Okay, so that is the thing, motivation for us to go for a computer aided design. Okay, some more things regarding this. Computer aided techniques became critical for verification and design of VLSI digital circuits. Okay, computer programs to do automatic placement and routing of circuit layouts also become popular. So this placement and routing, okay. So once you have put a design on an editor, okay, this editor in the window, whatever we are doing now earlier with pen and papers, now it is came into editor window, right? So editor, what we will do, so you have zoom option and all, right? So you'll place the component, and this same thing is going to sit on a PCB board, right? Or it may be a final board, right? So that is automatic placement and routing. So all this will be understood once the lab session is conducted parallelly. Okay, I will show you in the first step. So we are using one of the automated tools here in the lab, Xilinx, provided by Xilinx. Okay, so how it is going to do that process, we will tell you. Okay, then it will be more clear to you. Then building gate level digital circuits manually on graphic terminals. Okay, and building small building blocks and then derive higher level blocks from them, and this process would continue until they had built the top level block. So far, so this is the scenario. So they used to learn gate level digital circuits, they used to combine manually, and they become small building blocks, and then it will become a large building block. So like that they used to design, and logic simulators came into existence to verify the functionality of these circuits before they were fabricated on chip. Okay, so complete CAD tools were not came. So some part by part they have. So for simulation purpose came with the logic simulators, right? So whatever you have done now top level block, it should be verified now. Okay. For example, you have a now analog arithmetic logic unit. You have a okay digital circuit. You have to give now inputs. Some two inputs you have to give, and you have to do some operation, addition, subtraction, like that. When you do that, so whatever manually you are doing and whatever you're doing through the CAD tools, it should be same answer, right? Then that is the verification. Okay, so once this is tested, so then we can don't rely on the pen and paper, directly we can put into the system. Okay, so that is the thing happened. As designs got larger and more complex, designers could iron out functional bugs in the architecture before the chip was designed further. Okay, so as designs got larger and more complex, so they have to identify the bugs in the very beginning, okay, before they produce the chip. Once chip is produced, you could not change anything, right? So before the chip was done, you can able to fix the bugs. That is one of the advantage of the CAD tools, they come to know. Okay, so that is the evolution happened. Finally, due to their complexity, such systems are usually realized during high density programmable chips. Whatever we are using now in the lab, DSD lab, you have seen 7404, 7486, some you have used, right? For so such small scale or medium scale or large scale integration chips are not useful for this VLSI design. Okay, so it requires high density and programmable chips were required. So there are three such boards are there that will be used as the end PCB board. Okay, they are called as ASIC, CPLD, or FEGS. Okay, and they require sophisticated CAD tools. If you have to do dump into that device, you require definitely a CAD tools. Okay, so just to highlight what is these three. Okay, very first, when number of gate counts was very small, there is called as a simple programmable logic device. Okay, so that SV you know need to tell. So just we are saying it is SPLDs or just PLDs. Okay, programmable logic devices. So that become complex now. So that's why we called it as device CPLD, complex programmable logic device. So its density is less compared to FPGA. So FPGA came with more robust. Whatever you are seeing in nowadays in the military and all, in the satellite or aircraft. Okay, so high complex devices, so there you will see this FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays. And previously I shown you Moore's law, where there I shown Intel chips, right? So that will be produced in bulk, right? So now Itanium processor is there, means all the laptops are using now latest processor, so they have to produce that chip in bulk. In that case, so we dump that into ASIC, application specific integrated circuit. Okay, so these are the three different devices you have once you have done the design and you have done the simulation, and finally you have to make it dump your design. Okay, so just to give a difference, in the DSD lab, what you used to do, if you have to realize AND gate means you have to pick one IC with that name, you have to remember that IC name, right? And you have to see AND gate output. Next, you want to see XOR gate output, means you need to change the IC there, 7400 to some other pin you have to take, and you have to insert that, and then you have to give the input and output. Now this is a programmable chip. So what we are doing, so just we are not changing the chips here. Chip is same. Either we are using CPLD, FPGA or ASIC. Okay. In your syllabus, FPGA is mentioned now. Earlier syllabus CPLD. CPLD is enough because you are whatever your experiment you are doing in institution or college level, it is a less density. So CPLD is enough. So that CPLD kit will be there, and you are going to change just the HDL programming. Okay. So just AND gate is there. So I told you 4 level we are writing programs. So I will show you that in lab sessions very clearly. So when you are writing gate level, so just we'll write the gate level operators. When we are writing at data flow, we'll use operators. Behavioral level, we'll use truth table. Okay. So like that, just you are going to change the functionality. So AND gate is there, just AND you will change. XOR is there, XOR we will change. Its operators we will use. So the same chip will act as AND gate, XOR gate. It may be full ladder, it may be multiplexer, like that. Okay. Any digital design you can do it here. Okay, this is the difference you are going to see from digital design system design lab to this lab. Digital system design lab, you used to remember the chip name, and you used to keep on changing, and you are checking the output. That is the basic lab, right? So now in this you are going to program the chip. Okay, so that is what the thing interesting you are going to learn. So once CAD tools become essential now, that is the evolution of CAD. So now there is a language required, right? So I told you, just you change the functionality, right? To change that functionality, we required one language, and that language we call it as hardware description language. So it became integral part of such tools. Okay, so whichever now you take as a digital system design CAD tool, so HDL will be there, either one of them. So there are many HDL languages are there. So two major competing HDLs are Verilog and VHSIC HDL, I told you. Okay, so in this course we are learning focusing completely on Verilog. Okay, so HDL is a CAD tool for the modern design and synthesis of digital systems, and this HDL offers the designer a very efficient tool for implementing and synthesizing designs on chips. Once they started using it, so it is going to give the satisfied design answers. Okay, so this is regarding the evolution of CAD in the case of Verilog HDL or digital design. Okay, so in the evolution of digital design, CAD tools necessity came like this. Okay, so just go through this once again. So we'll stop for here. So this is regarding evolution of CAD. So in the next video, we will see about the how HDLs came into existence. Okay, so just so far we have focused only on the CAD tools. Now next session we will focus on the HDL. Okay, so thank you. So if you like the video, just click on the like button.